jury in the above entitled case find the defendant, Robert Tellis, as follows. Murder with use of a deadly weapon, victim 60 years of age or older. Guilty of first-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon, victim 60 years of age or older. Special verdict. The jury unanimously finds the murder willful, deliberate, and premeditated. The jury unanimously finds the murder was committed by means of lying in wait. The jury unanimously finds the murder was committed by means of elder abuse. Guilty of first-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon, special verdict. The jury unanimously finds the murder willful, deliberate, premeditated.
Welcome back to TV Live. The breaking news. Well, we knew it was coming, but still breaking because the video is coming in right now of our Matt Johnson speaking with Robert Tellis. He's talking about his conviction from his jail cell. Matt headed over to the Clark County Jail to talk to Tellis about the guilty verdict this week and his sentence. Remember, a jury found the 47-year-old former Las Vegas politician guilty for the stabbing death of investigative reporter Jeff German. Tellis took the stand. He claimed that this was some massive conspiracy. The jury obviously didn't buy it. They did take a long time in deliberations, though, and people were scratching their heads, what's going on? That closing argument from the defense, all that Matt is going to bring up with Robert Tellis. So without any further ado, let's head to the jailhouse and the interview. This is our Matt Johnson talking to convicted killer Robert Tellis.
For meeting with us. I know that we have limited time, so I wanted to start with this. You were convicted of first-degree murder 2 days ago. Do you have a message for Jeff German's family?
Yes, sir. Again, I am very sorry for their loss. It's tragic. He was clearly a good man who made a difference in the community and a difference in his family, but they certainly have my condolences, but I'm not guilty. I am innocent of his murder.
A jury of 12. You're a former attorney. You helped select this jury. You say that they got it wrong?
I do. Yes, sir.
Why is that?
Obviously, there was a lot of evidence in, I think, every different direction. I think one of the important things that the jury did not focus on was the fact that, as was heard earlier during the trial, that at 8:50 a.m. I was at home texting with one of my kids. I did not leave home, and at 9:10, this SUV that looks very similar to my SUV pulls into my neighborhood while I'm still at home, then drives out 2 minutes later, follows the path to Mr. German's home, murders Mr. German, and then makes its way back toward my home.
Well, let's talk about that because prosecutors pointed to the text message that was on your wife's watch and not your cell phone. She was trying to get a hold of you. So where were you?
Again, as I testified, I had taken a walk. And when I came back home, I just walked in the door. I yelled up that I'm home, and that was it. I mentioned, too, that if I hadn't, then certainly she would have texted and called further. Right, so the fact that there was just the one call and text within a couple minutes of each other shows that, again, there was no concern that I was not yet home or anything like that.
Why frame you? Because you believe that you're being framed, right? Being framed by who and why? Why not just kill you?
Right, and then again, that was something that I addressed on the stand as well. So I believe that Compass Realty, I want to do my investigation on this, but I was able to prove it, but I believe Compass Realty framed me to stop me from investigating them. And so when you think about this question about, well, why not kill you instead? Again, killing me wouldn't have stopped the investigations into them and maybe even bolstered those investigations, when people try to figure out why I was killed, or perhaps the investigations were picked up in my memory and worked on harder. But again, like I said, because now that Mr. German's been murdered and I was framed for it, Compass Realty gets away with, not having to answer to any of the criminal conduct that they've engaged in. also the real estate division complaint that I had filed against them, that got dropped after I got put in jail. Again, it certainly is serendipity for them if, as a result of my supposedly killing Mr. German, that they get to walk away without any repercussions for their criminal conduct.
I heard you take the stand, and I was there in court each and every day. You were there on the stand for a duration over 3 days, and you mentioned that on the stand. Why did you want to take the stand? If you did it again, over again, would you? Because the jury didn't seem to believe what you had to say in your narrative.
Yeah, I would do it again. I don't know that it's necessarily that my testimony had a negative impact. I think perhaps had we highlighted again a little harder the inconsistencies with the evidence, that perhaps they would have seen the truth. I don't know that my testimony had a negative impact. In fact, I think it, at the very least, the public got to hear my story. While they're not jurors, they can decide whether or not this is all true, but I'm innocent, and so I guess that's bottom line for me.
So who killed Jeff German then?
Like I said, I believe it is someone who was hired by Compass Realty.
And what steps are you going to do moving forward if you say that you're an innocent man behind bars, you're yet to be sentenced, you're yet to be moved to prison? What's next for you then?
So right now I'm working on my appeals. I do believe that I will get out early on appeal, so I'm working on that right now. As far as any investigations that I'd hope to complete, unfortunately, I won't be able to do them from here. If there's enough time when I get out, such that all the evidence hasn't, basically aged, I guess, I don't know if it's aged out, but, if there's still yet evidence remaining by the time I get out, then great, then I will continue to pursue those investigations when I get out.
When do you think that you're going to be getting out? When do you think you're going to be getting out? You've been convicted of first-degree murder. You're going to be sentenced, and the possibility is after serving 20 years parole, but you're unlikely to get parole unless you take responsibility for the actions that you've been convicted of.
So, in fact, it's going to be longer than 20 years. There are enhancements, so I'll be looking at probably 28 years. But again, it is my belief that, and I'm going to continue working on this, that I'll be able to get back to my family sooner through appeals. That's, my main concern is getting back home to my family.
Let's talk about that, because in the mitigation, you had 3 witnesses that were on the stand in your defense. It was your wife, your ex-wife, and your mom. And you broke down in tears when your mom was on the stand, pleading on your behalf for parole. And they were all characterizing you as a family man, but I hadn't seen your family in court supporting you during the trial.
I didn't want them there. And because of all the media, you got to understand that my family, they love me. I talk to them all the time. As you heard, I talk to my kids all the time. I expressly did not want them during the proceedings, because I didn't want them to suffer from all of this. That's been my main concern all along. So, yeah, they didn't show up because I asked them not to. I wanted to protect them from this situation.
Why did you cry when your mom was testifying on your behalf? And, according to our viewers and people that have watched your trial, they didn't see much emotion from you whenever there were pictures of Mr. German or when his family was on the stand. Why is that?
I don't know that, I certainly felt for them. I don't know if my face, demonstrated or not, but I definitely felt for the family during their testimony. And I certainly, this has certainly been frustrating for me, but you got to understand that, I had to try to just prove my innocence, to show the jury that, again, I am a family man. I am somebody who could not possibly have committed this murder. So that was my main goal during the trial, was to just to convey them and to show them the evidence, you know, that I had seen that shows that this is, you know, that I did not commit this murder. So, you know, I'm sorry if it came off as though I didn't have emotion, but I thought I certainly conveyed it, and, you know, but, you know.
And on that same regard, you know, viewers online, people love to weigh in on what they're watching at specific times, but a lot of people didn't believe that there was emotion on the stand when you appeared to be crying. Were you crying, and why?
And that wasn't for show. As a, you know, that just was not for show. This is not something that I planned. Basically, when I was talking about the fact that, you know, I was basically tortured, you know, mentally, you know, during this period where they detained me during the search, and I was already just about broken because they were talking about my family and what this was going to do to my family, and they had already put me in this paper suit and this freezing environment, and by the time I walked into my house, it was a tornado. They trashed my children's rooms, they trashed my entire house, and my wife was sitting on the floor crying. And so I cried on the stand, and it wasn't for show. It wasn't me trying to gain any sympathy. I cried, and there were tears. My face was wet, but it wasn't for public consumption. It wasn't for the jury's sake. That's just something that came out. So if it looked unbelievable, then so be it, because it wasn't meant to be an act. It wasn't meant to be something to sway anybody.
And speaking of that jury, they were out for roughly 12 hours over 3 days, and they asked to see certain videos. One of the videos was what your defense team had pointed out, with what they say was hair on the driver of the suspect in a vehicle. And then the second was a comparison side by side of you walking with the AP article of you in your office from that Gehrman interview, and also video of the suspect. And a lot of people say that it's the same walk, that you have the same walk as the suspect. You say that it's not? Do you see the similarities?
I don't agree, but, you know, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but no, I don't agree.
All right, we need a break. We'll get you back and pick up Matt Johnson's interview with Robert Tellis. He's going to ask, why did you choose to get up on the witness stand and do the old narrative style rather than the questioning from your attorney? We'll see what Robert Tellis has to say about that next.